Semangat pagi! Have you had your shake today?
Senang sekali saya Ade Mutia hari ini bersama rekan saya
Adi Pasakahar
dapat menyapa Anda semua di acara eWellness Tour Spesial Masterclass Healthy Snacking bersama Susan Bowerman.
Menyambut anniversary Herbalife Nutrition Indonesia yang ke-23 pada bulan September, maka eWellness Tour kali ini hadir dalam format berbeda. Bila biasanya eWellness Tour hanya training nutrisi aja, nah kali ini kita akan mendapatkan tambahan ilmu, yaitu cara membuat healthy snacking yang enak dan bernutrisi dari Susan Bowerman selaku Senior Director Worldwide Nutrition, Education and Training di Herbalife Nutrition.
Yes, betul sekali. Menariknya, Susan akan membuat dua snack berbeda dengan resep dasar yang sama. Dan Susan juga akan menantang satu member independen Herbalife Indonesia untuk menggunakan resep dasar yang sama dan dikreasikan menjadi snack yang berbeda. Penasaran kan?
Wow, saya sih penasaran banget. Baik, sebelumnya kami ingin mengingatkan kembali kepada teman-teman, bapak, ibu semua yang hadir dalam Zoom meeting. Silakan untuk mendapatkan terjemahan dan mengaktifkan terjemahan bahasa Indonesia menjadi bahasa terjemahan. Untuk yang menyaksikan melalui Facebook dan YouTube Herbalife Nutrition Indonesia, kami juga menyediakan subtitle dengan berbahasa Indonesia.
Guest speaker kita hari ini adalah Susan Bowerman, Senior Director Worldwide Nutrition Education and Training di Herbalife Nutrition. Beliau mendapatkan gelar master di bidang Food Science and Nutrition di Colorado State University.
Wow.
Sebenarnya banyak sekali prestasi lainnya dari Susan, tapi sepertinya tidak cukup satu hari ya untuk menyelesaikannya. Nah, beruntung sekali kita hari ini bisa langsung mendapatkan ilmu dari beliau.
Oke, tanpa berlama-lama lagi, kita yakin semua sudah tidak sabar untuk menerima banyak ilmu yang luar biasa hari ini, serta tips mengolah healthy snacking yang enak, mudah, dan tentunya bernutrisi. Silakan siapkan buku catatan teman-teman, alat tulis, dan jangan lupa juga nutrisinya ya. Oke, please welcome Susan Bowerman.
Well, hello to all of my friends in Indonesia. I'm so happy to be here and to be spending this time with you for this training today, and really excited because we're going to be doing a cooking demonstration after we talk about healthy snacking. So thanks so much for being here. Big thank you to the team in Indonesia for inviting me to be here with you today. I wish we could be together in person. One of these days we will. But for now, I'm coming to you from my home. I'm in my kitchen. I'm in California, and I hope everybody's doing well. I am Susan Bowerman, registered dietitian, and I've had a really long and wonderful experience with Herbalife Nutrition. You know, I've been with the company since 2003 when I started as a consultant, and I've been an employee now for 7 years. And I was brought to the company by Dr. David Heber, who most of you know. We were working together at that time at UCLA, and he was starting to do some work with Herbalife. And as Dr. Heber always does, he brings people along on adventures. And this was one of the best adventures of my life. And he brought me over to the company. I got introduced to the team over there, got introduced to the products and started using them and loving them. And just gradually started building my reputation within the company, started by doing a lot of writing and then getting out to events, of course. And that was really the highlight of everything that I do then and now, was being out there and meeting with our wonderful members. So it's been just a wonderful, wonderful ride. And so for today, what I was asked to do was to just share some thoughts with you about healthy snacking. And so that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're going to spend a little time together talking about snacking, and then we're going to actually prepare some healthy snacks. All right, so let's get started. So I guess the first question is, why should we snack? You know, this question comes up a lot. You know, years ago, before even I was at UCLA, I had a private practice for many years. And one of the things I often used to ask many of my clients was, you know, as I was taking a nutrition history, was, do you snack? And I realized that many people got very defensive and they said, oh, no, I never snack. I don't snack, as if snacking was a bad thing. And I realized that what they thought I was asking was, do you eat snack foods? In other words, do you eat those high calorie chips and sweets and so forth? But that's not what snacking is all about. I mean, when you do snack and you snack appropriately, there's a lot of things that a good, healthy snack can do for you. Number one, it can help you from overeating when it comes to meal times, because when you space out your meals and your snacks every few hours, then you aren't sitting down for a meal overly hungry if you skipped a snack, and you may be able to control your portions a little bit better when you do finally sit down for your meal. Interestingly, snacking has been shown to actually help you reduce your overall calorie intake for the day, and that may seem backwards. You may think, well, how can I reduce my calorie intake if I'm eating snacks or I'm eating more often? But it goes back to what I just said, which is that when you're eating more frequently, you can get by with smaller amounts and be satisfied. And so it means your meals can be smaller, and that you can spread out the same number of calories that you might have eaten over your meals over several more meals plus snacks. The other thing I think is really important is that snacking allows you to work in more healthy foods. And by that, I mean that, when we say that you need more fruits, more vegetables, because people tend to not eat enough of those, or maybe some people don't get enough calcium-rich dairy products, for example. The more times that you allow yourself to eat throughout the day, the more often you can work those foods in. So if you think about having to get 5 to 7 servings of fruits and vegetables in your diet every day, that can be a little bit challenging if you're only eating 2 or maybe 3 meals. But if you're eating 4 or 5 times a day, it becomes a little bit easier to work in, say, a fruit or vegetable with every meal or every snack. So that's a huge plus. And then lastly, snacking helps you to maintain your physical energy and your mental energy. Your brain and your muscles rely on plenty of energy, much of which comes from good carbohydrates, by the way, which we'll talk about in a minute. And so being able to maintain that physical energy to do all the things you want to do physically during the day and to exercise, as well as to have all the mental energy that you want to have to be able to function well and think clearly and do all the things that you want to do. Now, having said that, there is a dark side to snacking, and that's what I referred to at the very beginning, which means that when people are eating unhealthy snacks, they're eating things that are very sweet, very sugary, or they're eating a lot of fried foods and snack chips and things like that. These are not particularly nutritious foods. They're just a lot of calories. And so that's not really the proper way to snack, in my view. And then sometimes people eat for emotional reasons. So in other words, they're snacking when they're not really hungry, but they're trying to sort of suppress, or some people even say to swallow, an emotion that they don't want to feel. They might be angry or depressed or sad or lonely or bored. And eating, might take care of that for a moment, but then the feeling usually does come back. So that's not really an appropriate reason to snack. Some people snack out of habit. It's just, they always, let's say, at night, they always have a snack while they're watching a movie on television, let's say in the evening, even if they've just had dinner, 30 minutes before. It's just like, okay, but I always snack when I watch television. So it becomes a habit. And this is something that's happening not because of hunger. It's just habitual. The other thing is that snacking for some people can lead to grazing. In other words, you start snacking and you can't stop. And so, you have one snack and then you go back and you get another one and you repeat the process. And this is really when the calories can add up pretty quickly. Now, there are challenges to choosing healthy snacks, right? The fact being that we are in a 24-hour-a-day world, which means that we can get food anytime, anywhere. We can get it delivered to our house. We don't even have to go out to get it. And I always joke how I go out to run errands, and it seems like everywhere I go, there's food. If I go to drop off clothes at the dry cleaners, there's donuts. Or if I have to go to the bank, which doesn't happen very often, my bank always has cookies and coffee. I didn't go to the bank to get a snack. I went there because I needed to do something. But there is food everywhere, and that's very, very challenging. The other thing is that when you buy snack foods, if you think about your typical bag of chips, for example, that, you know, the bags are large and the portion sizes are big. And we know that the larger the bag, the more we eat out of that bag. So that becomes a challenge. And then there's things that sound healthy, but they're not. Getting back to the chips as an example, we have here in the US, we have chips that are made out of potatoes, just like you do, and you may have these too. We have chips that are made out of apples, or they're made out of beets or other vegetables. And it sounds healthy, but they're still fried and they're still greasy and they're still high calorie. So, you know, you have to watch for that. And then one of the biggest ones has to do with what we call liquid calories. So this is the calories that you're drinking from things like sodas and sweetened coffees that can really, really add up. In fact, let me show you what I mean by that. If you consume a typical soda, 750 milliliter soda, it's the calorie equivalent of eating 7 sandwich cookies. And it's a huge amount of sugar. Or if you have a large iced coffee, a 500 milliliter iced coffee that's, you know, again, it's sweetened, it's got some milk or cream in it, it's got whipped cream on top. That can be the calorie equivalent of eating 4 slices of bread. And so when you see it in that perspective, it really makes you realize how quickly these things can add up. And this is one of the reasons that, you know, we love our Herbalife products, right? Is because we have options for people to be able to stay hydrated without getting a lot of calories from sodas and really high calorie coffee drinks, because we have aloe to flavor our water. We have tea that we're able to put into water and keep us refreshed and keep us hydrated throughout the day. And the calories are minimal. So that's a huge, huge plus on the hydration side. Now, what happens if you don't snack, if you aren't getting healthy snacks throughout the day? Well, we touched on some of this, but one thing that can happen is that you might start to actually crave sweets. And that's because as you get hungry, one of the reasons you feel hungry is that the sugar level in your blood, the blood sugar or the blood glucose, starts to drop. That sugar in your bloodstream, which comes primarily from the carbohydrates that you eat, is your body's main source of fuel. And so as those levels start to go down, as the sugar level in your blood starts to drop and your muscles are running out of fuel and your brain is running out of fuel, you may start to crave sweets. It's your body saying, I need fuel, I need something. It's like your car telling you it needs gas. You might be too hungry at meals. We already talked about that a little bit, is that not having enough snacks means you might get really, really hungry at mealtime and eat too much, and therefore you might overeat. Another really important reason for snacking is for people who are physically active and people who are doing a pretty good workout every day, that snacking afterwards, refueling, becomes really important so that you can adequately recover after exercise. And we'll touch on that in a minute, but that becomes very important as well. So what makes a healthy snack? It's really pretty simple. It really follows along with our global nutrition philosophy, which is balanced nutrition. You want a balance of both protein and healthy carbohydrates. Now, why do you need both? Well, protein is sort of a longer lasting nutrient. So when you eat protein foods, they tend to sustain you for a little bit longer, whereas carbohydrates are going to help to satisfy you right away. And so when you have that balance of protein and carb in your snack, you have a more long-lasting, let's say, snack that's going to keep you going until your next meal. And it needs to have enough calories and enough protein to last you until the next time you're going to eat. So if you have if you have a snack that's, say, 50 or 60 calories, it's really tiny, that's probably not going to do enough. And we feel like the sweet spot at a minimum is probably about 150 calories for a snack at a minimum. And then probably you really want to shoot for a minimum of 7 to 10 grams of protein, more if you're exercising. But just for your standard everyday snack, that's really about where you should be at the very minimum, 7 to 10 grams of protein, at least 150 calories. And your snack needs to taste good. You know, you're not going to eat it if it doesn't taste good. And there's plenty of good tasting foods in the world, so that shouldn't be too hard. Now, one of the concepts I like to introduce when I train, because it really applies not just to snacks, but to everything, is this idea of comparing what we call nutrient density to calorie density. And what I mean by nutrient density, this is pretty simple. It's a food that has a lot of nutrition per bite, or a lot of nutrition relative to the amount of calories that it contains. So these are all the healthy foods that we always talk about that we want you to focus on your diet. So lean proteins and vegetables and fruits and whole grains and beans. These are things that have an abundance of nutrients relative to the calories that they contain. So if you think about, a typical piece of fruit is only 70 calories, but it's full of vitamins and minerals and fiber and water and phytonutrients. So it's really, really nutrient dense. On the other hand, we have what we call calorie dense foods, and this is where a lot of snack foods fall. These are things that have a lot of calories per bite, not a lot of nutrients per bite, but a lot of calories per bite. So where are those calories coming from? Primarily from sugar and from fat. So if you think about fried foods and candies and the sodas we just talked about and desserts, these are things that have a lot of calories, but are not giving you the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber, all those things that you get from those nutrient-dense foods that we just talked about. And here's a visual example, just to kind of hammer this home. We're comparing two things that are both 140 calories. On the right-hand side, we have 15 of those tiny little jelly candies for 140 calories. And it's all sugar. There's no nutrients really there to speak of other than sugar. Whereas on the other side, we have 140 calories of fruit. We have a cup of pineapple, a half a cup of blueberries. We've got some pomegranate there. So again, we've got fiber, we have water, we have vitamins, we have minerals, we have those beautiful pigments, those phytonutrients in there that are so good for us from a health standpoint. And also pay attention to the difference in the portion size. That bowl of fruit's going to be pretty filling, whereas that little bit of candy is just a mouthful. It's not going to do you much at all. So this concept of eating nutrient-dense foods fits really nicely with our global nutrition philosophy when we talk about balanced nutrition, and that, you should have the right carbs and the right proteins and the right fats in your diet, coupled with, plenty of fiber that you're going to get from those fruits and vegetables and whole grains that we talked about. So having these nutrient-dense foods is critically important, not just for snacks, but all the time whenever you're choosing foods. Now, the protein that I mentioned, that I said was so important for snacking and at your meals as well, is because protein helps to satisfy hunger. It really helps to keep you full, even more so than fats and more so than carbohydrates. It takes a little bit longer to digest, so it stays with you. Of course, because we talk about this a lot, that protein's really important to build and maintain your muscle mass. That's critically important. And there's other things in your body that are made of protein. For example, your skin and your hair and your nails, not to mention a lot of your organs inside. You have a lot of protein tissues in your body that have to be maintained. And so the protein that you eat in your diet helps to maintain the health of all of those tissues. And then there's other what we call body proteins. What do I mean by that? Well, you have proteins, for example, circulating in your blood. You have a protein called hemoglobin. It's a really important protein. It transports oxygen to all the tissues of your body. And that hemoglobin is made from the protein that you eat in your diet. So protein's critically important. And it's really important just in terms of overall health, because the cells in your immune system, many of those are also proteins. And so there's lots and lots of reasons why protein becomes so important. It's really important, and comes back to the snacking issue, it's really important that you eat your protein throughout the day. What we find here in the US is that a common pattern for a lot of people is to eat little or no breakfast, no snacks, a small lunch, and then a huge dinner. And so then pretty much most of the protein for the day is really eaten at one meal at night. But we know that, for example, for muscle protein synthesis, to help your muscles to repair and recover after exercise, that having regular doses of protein throughout the day is much more efficient, because every time you eat protein, it stimulates muscle protein synthesis. And so for those of you who are working out hard, you're working out to build muscle, that's one really good reason to eat regularly and to eat protein snacks as well. And then for those of you who are watching your weight, having protein throughout the day is really going to help you with hunger management as well. So lots of good reasons for including protein snacks throughout the day. And of course, we have products. We're going to use some of these in the cooking demo in a couple of minutes, but we have products that can help you to meet your protein needs, particularly our signature product, our Formula One shake mix, as well as our personalized protein powder, which I particularly love because it allows individuals to really personalize how much protein they put into their shakes. I put PPP into other foods. I stir it into yogurt. I put it in oatmeal so that I can make sure that I'm going to meet my protein needs throughout the day. Now, the carbs that we talked about, we said that the right kinds of carbs are really important, again, not just for snacking, but at every meal, because as I said, carbohydrates are the primary source of fuel. That's what your body wants to run on. Your body doesn't want to burn protein for fuel. It's got too many other important things to do. We just talked about all the important things that protein needs to do, but carbs are really the main source of fuel. And particularly for your brain can run on other sources of fuel, but it really wants that glucose that comes from the carbs that you eat. If you eat the right carbs, if you're eating high fiber carbs, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, beans, then that fiber is going to help to satisfy hunger as well as provide the fiber that's really good for your digestive health. And then, of course, phytonutrients, we talk about those often. And we're referring to those pigments and in some cases, some of the odors, in fact, that you get from fruits and vegetables. These are natural compounds that exist in fruits and vegetables. Phyto means plant. And these things can provide some health benefits to the body. They're all unique depending on the fruit and vegetable that you eat, which is why we recommend that you eat a wide range of colorful fruits and vegetables throughout the day. So you can get carbs from, again, if you eat the right ones, you can get carbs from whole vegetables and from whole fruits. Grains, we prefer that you use whole grains as much as possible to get the fiber. Beans, and then dairy products actually do contain carb. They have natural sugars in them. There's a natural sugar in milk called lactose. Some people are sensitive to lactose and can't break it down, but for those who can, dairy products can be a source of not only carbohydrate, but also some of the other important nutrients that are in dairy products, such as calcium and vitamin D. Now, I touched on this a minute ago, but when you've been exercising and you finish a good bout of exercise, let's say you've been out and you've been, running for 45 minutes or playing a soccer game or a basketball game, and you've worked out pretty hard. After you finish, a snack is critically important to help you recover because you've been using up a lot of carbohydrate during your exercise to help fuel your muscles. And so once you get through that long period of exercise, you need to replenish. You need to put that carbohydrate back into your bloodstream, as well as in stores, in your muscle, as well as in your liver. And so carbohydrate is a really important component of a post-workout snack. And you need some protein as well to help promote muscle recovery, as we just talked about. And then rehydrating is really, really important too after a workout, so that if you've been working out in the heat and you've been sweating, you've been losing water, you've been losing minerals in your sweat. So all of these things have to be replenished with the right snack. So for those of you who are working out pretty hard, keep in mind that an ideal post-workout snack is going to be required a little bit more protein and more calories. You need somewhere in the range of 20 to 40 grams of protein, not just the 10 for the average person who's not that active, but you need about 20 to 40 grams of protein, and you need 2 to 3 times that in carbohydrate. So, this is why, for example, making a Formula One shake after workout, putting some fruit in it, which is going to boost the carbohydrate, but you're still getting the protein, and you can add some PPP. And of course, it's liquid, so you're also getting some hydration. So that's one way that you can really recover very well after a workout, is really even just with a shake. It's pretty easy to do, but those are really your goals after a workout. Now, fiber, we also touched on this a minute ago, but the importance of fiber, that it is a component of many of those good carbohydrates that you eat. Fiber helps you to stay full, as we said. It promotes regularity. That's how most people think of fiber in terms of its benefits. But it also promotes gut health in another way, which is that fiber helps to it develops the good bacteria that exist in your digestive tract. You have bacteria in there that are beneficial to you, and they feed on some of the fibers that you consume in your diet. So that promotes gut health. And the other thing that some fibers can do, particularly what we call the soluble fibers that you find in beans and oats and barley, this type of fiber helps to keep cholesterol levels and blood sugar levels within a normal range. So fiber has a lot of important functions as well. And we have this wonderful mixed fiber product here in the US. We call it Active Fiber Complex. It's a very similar product. I love this product. 5 grams of fiber per serving. And the reason I like it is that most people don't get the recommended minimum 25 grams of fiber a day. Most people only eat about half of the fiber that they need every day. And so having a product like this that, again, you can put in your shakes, you can stir it into a hot cereal, you can stir it into yogurt, it tastes delicious. It can really help you to meet your fiber needs for the day. All right, so let's put all this together and talk about what makes a healthy snack. We need protein, we need carbs, right? Protein's going to help with the hunger control primarily. Carbs are also going to help with hunger control if they're a good source of fiber, in addition to being nutrient dense and providing us with those vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients. So to put a healthy snack together, think about things that you can eat that are nutrient dense, that are containing protein. So dairy products, milk, cottage cheese, yogurt makes a really good start for a snack. You know, having yogurt with something on top of it, it's just so simple. Low-fat cheeses. I'm not opposed to all cheeses if they're low in fat. They can be a good source of protein. Lean meats, poultry, fish can be included in a snack. Eggs make a great snack. I keep hard-boiled eggs in my refrigerator all the time because it's such an easy snack to grab. It's, 70 calories and 6 grams of protein, and I can pair that with something and have a really good snack. Cooked beans or cooked lentils, nuts or nut butter. These are all great sources of protein. Then you want to think about the vegetables, the fruits, the whole grains that you can add as your healthy carbs to combine with your protein to make a healthy snack. So it's pretty simple. I mean, these are just some very, very simple ideas. Yogurt, as I said, you can stir a little PPP in there. You can stir a little bit of active fiber in there if you want to, and top it with some additional fruit to get the carbohydrate. The protein, of course, is coming from the yogurt. The hard-boiled eggs that I told you I always keep around. One of my favorite things to do, especially right now in the summer here in California, is tomatoes are just perfect right now. They're just delicious. And I just like to slice up a whole tomato, slice up some hard-boiled egg, and kind of put the egg on top of the tomato. It's just a fabulous snack and very satisfying. A handful of soy nuts or other type of nuts, which can be a good source of protein, and a piece of fruit can work. Or a nut butter that you put on a whole grain bread or a whole grain cracker can work really well. Or even on a day that's cold, if you have some soup that you've made, like a healthy vegetable soup, you can put a little bit of low-fat cheese in there, or even stir a little PPP in there and get yourself a pretty healthy snack. So those are some good ideas. We're going to stop for a minute because I have to reset my computer so that I can put you right in the heart of my kitchen. So I'm going to be right back because we are going now to our cooking demonstration. We're going to make 2 recipes out of 1, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. So I will be right back. Okay, friends, are you ready to cook together? All right. This is going to be really fun. What the team asked me to do there in Indonesia was they said, can you make 2 things out of 1 recipe? And we put our heads together and we said, sure, we can make waffles and pancakes with the same batter. That would be really easy. So we're going to do that. We are going to make waffles and pancakes. We're going to use Formula 1 and we're going to use some PPP in our pancakes. But I wanted to kind of one-up this a little bit. So I said, well, okay, we can do the waffles and pancakes, but we're going to do something else. We're going to make a fruit topping, and we're going to use the mixed fiber. This is really, really fun, and it's really easy. So I want to show you how to do it because this is something that's great, not just on pancakes and waffles. You can put it on top of yogurt, again, for that healthy snack. All right, so I'm going to show you how to do this. This is super easy and super fun. we're going to start with a 1/2 cup of chopped up strawberries. And I'm going to put those in this little bowl here. And you want to crush these pretty well. So I'm using this old-fashioned potato masher. And you want to mash these up so that they're nice and crushed and you start to get some of the liquid that's released out of here. Now, strawberries are great for a number of reasons. They're a really good source of fiber. Of course, you can see all those little seeds on the outside. A really good source of vitamin C. Not high in calories, so very, very nutrient dense. And of course, they taste delicious. So you just can't argue with any of that. Once you crush these, you could do this in the blender, by the way, if you wanted. I wanted to have still some pieces of strawberry. I didn't want it to be super, super smooth, but you could. Once you get this crushed and you get some of the liquid that's released, you're going to just stir in a few things. We're going to put in 1 scoop of your mixed fiber. Now, why am I putting that in there? Well, not just for the fiber that it contains, but also there's 2 kinds of fiber in mixed fiber, and one of them is what we call a soluble fiber. Soluble fibers, just like they sound, dissolve in water and they get thick and they get a little bit sticky. And so that's going to turn this into a little bit of a jam. You're going to see after we let this sit. The other thing I'm adding is a tablespoon of white chia seeds, because chia seeds also soak up a lot of liquid and swell up, and it's going to make this nice jam. And then just for additional flavor, I'm going to add a tablespoon of the herbal aloe concentrate. I'm using the mango flavor. And what you're going to do is just stir this up, and we're going to just set this aside while we make our pancakes and our waffles. And what happens is that the chia seeds, which by the way are a really good source of omega-3 fats, they are also a source of soluble fiber. So between the fiber in the mixed fiber and the fiber in the chia seeds, and then the liquid that's been released from the strawberries and the little bit of liquid that we put in from the aloe, this is going to start to thicken up just by sitting here on the counter and make almost like a fresh fruit jam. And because strawberries already have so many seeds in them, adding the chia seeds just, it just tastes like more strawberry seeds. It's really great. All right, so that's done. Okay, super easy. We're going to set that aside and we're going to just let that thicken up. Okay, so now let's go ahead and make the batter for our pancakes and our waffles. And by the way, I was also told when I did this that I was supposed to send out a challenge to all of you, which is that I'm going to make a very simple, basic recipe. You're going to see, so you're going to know all the ingredients that are in it, but I'm challenging all of you out there to do something fun and get creative, because all of you are very, very creative with your recipes. We've seen this before. And in particular, I'm talking to you, Lily, our Millionaires Team member, because I know that you like to make pancakes and waffles. And so Lily, I'm challenging you specifically today to come up with something even better than what I'm going to come up with today. All right. Are you ready? Simple. We're going to start with 200 milliliters of milk. Now you can use non-fat milk, you can use low-fat milk, you can use soy milk if you want to. I'm just using regular low-fat milk. I'm using 3 eggs, which is going to add obviously some protein to our waffles and our pancakes, but eggs also, as they cook, they add structure. And so that's going to help. If you've tried to make pancakes just like mixing Formula 1 and milk together and putting it on the griddle, it probably didn't work very well. You need to have something that's going to give a little bit of structure. So we're going to mix that up, just the eggs and the milk. The other thing that we need now to give it structure, normally pancakes or waffles would have flour in them. I'm using some instant oats instead. I'm using 6 tablespoons of instant oats. I'm doing that, again, because that's going to help to give it some structure, but also because many people are asking for recipes that are low in gluten or gluten-free, so we're using oats as opposed to flour. So 6 tablespoons of the oats. Then I'm using Formula 1, and I'm using cookies and cream flavor. You can use any flavor you want to. cookies and cream happens to taste really good in these pancakes. 4 scoops of PPP, so we're adding more protein there. That's adding 20 grams of protein to our recipe. And then this is optional, but I think it makes them a little bit better. I'm using a half a teaspoon of baking powder. That's it. That's the whole recipe. And you want to just stir this up until it creates a nice batter. And this way now we have enough to make both waffles and pancakes. Just super easy. So I've got my pancake griddle heating and I've got my waffle iron heating. And we're pretty much ready to go. And let's just recap while we're waiting, while these are cooking. We're going to talk a little bit more about what's actually in here. I want to just make sure, when you do this, make sure that everything's really well mixed. That's important. All right, this looks pretty good. I love seeing all those little bits of cookie in there, cookies and cream. So I'm going to pull this over so you can see what I'm doing. I've got my pancake griddle here. And then I also have my waffle iron. It's very hot. I've got my pancake griddle heated to about 375 degrees. And so I'm just going to start to pour these on. You can make these any size. I usually make them, 3 inches or so is enough. They're going to spread because there's that baking soda that's on there. So what's nice about this is you can make, as we're going to see, you can make both pancakes and waffles out of the same recipe. And you can, by the way, you can keep this batter if you want to. So I'm going to pour this now onto my waffle iron carefully. You might be able to hear that sizzling. And if you do decide that you want to keep this, let's say if you want to make pancakes, you want to make enough batter and you want to make the pancakes for a couple of days, that's fine. You just go ahead and put the batter in the refrigerator. If you find the next day that it's gotten a little bit thick, just stir a little bit of milk into it just to thin it down, just to get it back to the right texture, and you should be good. All right, so these are just going to take a minute. So while we're waiting, let's talk a little bit just about what we did and how much goes in here and what nutrition we've got, because it's kind of amazing. Let's go back, first of all, and talk about our jam, which, by the way, has gotten nice and thick. If you can see, in just a couple minutes that we were cooking it, or letting it sit on the counter. So I've got a half a cup of strawberries in there, which is actually going to give you about half your amount of vitamin C for the whole day. And this half a cup of strawberries is only about 30 calories. So we have that, and then we've got 5 grams of fiber that we added from our mixed fiber. We added a tablespoon of chia seeds, which is also going to add a few more grams of fiber, in addition to a little bit of protein, which is great. And as I said, also that healthy omega-3 fat as well. And then we have that wonderful flavor from the aloe, that mango aloe. But you can use another flavor if you want to. So what happens with this, one of the reasons this makes such a great snack is that, we talked about protein and carbohydrates. So we've got a lot of protein in our pancakes, and then we're going to add this really nice carbohydrate on top in the form of this fresh fruit. And you can see that my pancakes are beautiful and quite brown. These will brown a little bit more than your typical pancake, by the way. All right, so we've got all of that great carbohydrate and the fiber going on from the topping. Now let's go back and talk about what we actually put into our pancakes and into our waffles. So we used Formula 1. So now I'm going to have to do the math in there. But we've got roughly, by adding each scoop in there, we probably added about, let's see, 2 scoops, 18. So we probably added more than 20 grams of protein just from that. And then remember that we also added 4 scoops of the PPP. So we added another 20. So we know we've got at least 40 grams right there. Then we've got another 18 grams from our eggs. And then we have almost another probably 6 from our milk. So I didn't add all that up, but it's quite a bit. And what we're going to end up from this recipe is we're going to end up with 1 really nice sized waffle. And if I had made the rest of these, probably about 6 pancakes. So you can divide this up into however many servings you want. I'm going to check this and see how it's doing, because this waffle iron cooks pretty quickly. And this looks like it is done. It is done. It is done. So I'm going to take that out, and I think my pancakes are done as well. I'm going to plate this up so you can see what this looks like. This is really quite beautiful. I'm going to get this out of the way. And I'm going to unplug it, because one of the things about my waffle iron, it doesn't have an on-off button. You plug it in and it's on. So we're going to get that out of the way. And then our pancakes now are beautiful and brown on the other side. So let's go ahead, turn that off. Let's go ahead and stack these up as well and plate them up. I always like to plate these up so you can see what they actually look like when you're ready to serve them. Lily, are your wheels turning? Are you thinking about what you're going to do for your pancakes and your waffles? I can't wait. This is really the fun part, is seeing what you all decide to do with your recipes. All right, so here's our beautiful waffle. And you can see it's just lovely and brown on both sides, really nice. Here's our stack of 4 pancakes. As I said, if I had made the rest, I probably could have gotten another 2. And then now we've got our amazing strawberry topping that I'm going to put on top, some on top of my pancake, and I'm going to put some more on top of my waffle. Look how thick this is. This is fabulous. Didn't have to cook it, didn't have to do anything to it. And you can do this with any fruit, by the way. You just want to crush it so that you can release some of the juices, but any berries work really well with that. If you want to do this with apple, since your fiber is already apple flavor, grate the apple, and you can do it that way and just do a grated apple, stir some of the fiber in, your chia seeds, your aloe. That one you could even spice up. You could put some cinnamon. I'm giving Lily too many ideas here. I'm going to stop. All right. Now, what I want to do, of course, because it's sitting here right in front of me, is I want to taste it and tell you how yummy it is. And one of the things I will tell you is that the texture of this waffle is fantastic. It's waffle texture, and I'm going to give it a taste. The jam just really completes it. So I'm getting, of course, the wonderful flavor from the cookies and cream in the waffle itself, but the jam kind of just takes it over the top. And what's nice about that is that that's a pretty good sized scoop of jam. If you were using just the kind of jam that you buy in the grocery store, it's full of sugar and it would be a lot of calories, but this is really just fruit that we've thickened up with some fiber and with some chia seeds. And so this is pretty much guilt-free. So we've got our serving of fruit. We've got all of our protein from our pancakes, from our waffles, great breakfast, fabulous snack, so many things you could do with it, so many creative ways that you can make this recipe. So let me just recap before I stop. So just to remind you everything that went into it. 200 milliliters of milk, 3 eggs we put in there. We put in 6 tablespoons of rolled oats, or in your case, it'll be your instant oats. So those quick oats that you have. Formula 1, any flavor that you want to. I use cookies and cream, but you can use any flavor you want to. And then 4 scoops of your PPP. And then lastly, a half a teaspoon of baking powder. That was it. So the simple recipe went together really quick, really easily. I know you can do this at home. I know you will do this at home. So let us know how it turns out. All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for spending time with me, for watching the cooking demo. I hope you've got some good snack ideas. I hope you're thinking about all the fun things that you can do with this recipe. Love spending this time with you. Again, big thanks to the team in Indonesia for asking me to do this training with you today. It's been a pleasure. Love to spend this time with you. Lily, let me know how your pancakes turn out. I really want to hear all about it. And just take care of all of yourselves. And I hope to see you all really soon. Thank you so much for everything that you do for us every day. You know, I always say at the end of every training that I would not be here if it weren't for you. Because you are all working so hard for us. And please know that all of us here at corporate, we love you, we are in awe of you, and we are just so thankful for all the hard work that you do every single day. And you are, changing people's lives, as we always say, and we're extremely grateful. So thank you so much. Thanks. And take care. All right, bye-bye.
Terima kasih Susan Bowerman untuk ilmunya dalam membuat pancake dan waffle dengan bahan dasar yang tadi teman-teman sudah lihat di layar. Seperti yang tadi Susan bilang bahwa beliau sudah menantang salah satu independent member Indonesia untuk mengkreasikan menu dengan bahan dasar yang sama.
Nah, teman-teman semua, beliau ini sering sekali loh mengkreasikan healthy snacking dan mengenalkan kepada customer-customer beliau serta organisasinya. Beliau juga sering diminta sharing cara membuat healthy snacking dan mengkreasikannya. Langsung saja kita panggilkan Ibu Liliani Atmaja.
Terima kasih MC kita yang luar biasa, Mas Adi dan Mbak Ade. Perkenalkan teman-teman, nama saya Lili, saya dari Ponorogo. Dan hari ini saya akan membuat healthy snacking dengan bahan yang sama seperti yang Susan buat. Tetapi kali ini kita akan membuatnya dengan versi jajanan tradisional Indonesia. Apakah itu? Kue lumpur dan kue cubit. Oke, langsung saja ya. Mari kita ke sana. Nah, ini dia bahan-bahannya. Kita akan mulai dengan 3 butir telur. Kemudian langsung dicampurkan saja ke dalam satu wadah. Jadi gampang banget, nggak usah pakai mixer, nggak usah pakai oven. Hari ini kita bikin yang simple, yang semua bisa bikin. Tinggal dicampur jadi satu, susu non-fat 200 ml. Telurnya tadi 3. Kemudian ini ada oat 6 sendok makan. Lalu kita tambahkan setengah sendok teh baking powder. Nah, tentu saja bahan utama kita adalah shake. Hari ini saya lagi pakai shake-nya 10 sendok, 10 scoop. Shake-nya yang cookies and cream. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, dan 10. Oke. Dan kita akan tambahkan 4 scoop PPP. 1, 2, 3, 4. Dan ini sudah cukup, tinggal kita aduk-aduk saja. Oke, mari kita aduk pakai whisk. Aduknya harus agak kuat karena ini shake dan PPP-nya agak banyak. Oke. Oh ya teman-teman, jangan lupa panaskan cetakan kue lumpur dan juga cetakan kue cubitnya. Jangan lupa oleskan minyak agar tidak lengket. Siapkan juga tutupnya karena harus ditutup dan nanti masaknya dengan api kecil ya. Tips supaya tidak lengket, supaya tidak gosong. Jangan langsung ke bara api. Jadi boleh pakai seng atau apa ya, harus ada penghantar panas yang lain, dikasih alas gitu supaya tidak cepat gosong gitu. Nah, oke. Sebentar lagi kita akan selesai aduk-aduknya. Oh ya, jangan lupa siapkan toppingnya. Toppingnya teman-teman boleh pilih, mau almond boleh. Hari ini saya pakainya kismis. Oke, sudah tercampur rata. Yap. Siapkan cetakan apa nih ya, scoop es krim. Nyalakan dulu kompornya, apinya yang kecil aja. Oke, kita akan masukkan ke dalam cetakan kue lumpur. Gampang banget. Jadi seperti ini. Gampang banget, kita tinggal masukkan. Yang kurang rata. Nah, jadi untuk satu adonan ini kita sudah bisa membuat kue cubit dan sekaligus kue lumpur. Asik banget. Oke. Tinggal boleh diratain pakai sendok biar rapi. Nah, lalu kita kasih topping. Toppingnya pakai kismis. Oke, dan setelah ini kita akan lanjutkan dengan kue cubit. Yes, selesai. Selesai, dan kita akan, adonannya masih ada, kita akan lanjut ke sini. Ya. Karena cetakan kue cubitnya itu kecil-kecil, jadi butuh pakai sendok aja lah ya, biar gampang. Tinggal seperti ini aja. Nah, caranya sama. Lakukan sampai adonannya habis seluruhnya. Jadi ini tuh gampang banget teman-teman, bahannya juga simple. Jadi kurang rata sedikit. Kita bisa membuatnya di MC bareng dengan customer, dan kita bisa bagikan juga resepnya di grup WA customer supaya customer kita bisa membuat sendiri di rumah. Ini asik banget loh. Membuat sendiri cemilan sehat yang bisa kita nikmati bareng keluarga. Maafkan kurang rapi, apa-apa ya. Oke, tinggal kita tambahkan mau toppingnya. Lalu jangan lupa ditutup. Kalau kita lakukan ini di MC bareng dengan customer, wah seru banget. Oke, sambil ditunggu sebentar lagi, pastikan tidak gosong. Nanti teman-teman bisa tusuk dengan tusuk gigi. Jika sudah tidak lengket berarti sudah matang seluruhnya. Nah, saya sudah menyiapkan. Yang sudah matangnya adalah seperti ini. Nah, keren banget kan? Selamat mencoba. Dan selanjutnya saya kembalikan kepada Susan dan juga kepada MC kita. Terima kasih Mas Adi dan Mbak Ade yang keren. Ya, cakep banget. Jangan lupa tag saya ya kalau sudah bikin.
Wow, terima kasih banyak Bu Lili untuk tips-tips yang menarik sekali dan sudah mau sharing dengan kita hari ini. Nah, sekarang kita mau bagi-bagi hadiah nih ke Bapak, Ibu, dan teman-teman yang sudah menyaksikan eWellness Tour hari ini. Caranya, cek akun Instagram Herbalife Indonesia Official, cek postingan terakhir hari ini, dan jawab pertanyaan berikut. Siapa nama pembicara utama eWellness Tour Spesial Masterclass Healthy Snacking hari ini? Nah, mudah banget kan? Jawab pertanyaan di kolom komen pada postingan terakhir hari ini di akun Instagram Herbalife Indonesia Official. Pemenang dipilih berdasarkan jawaban yang benar di kolom komentar. Pastikan sudah like postingan tersebut dan sudah follow Instagramnya dan tag 3 teman kamu. Jawaban ditunggu pada hari ini, 4 September 2021 pukul 17 WIB.
Wow, tak terasa kita telah tiba di penghujung acara ya. Dapat ilmu nutrisi tentang manfaat snack, kemudian kita juga udah dapat inspirasi resep baru dan banyak sekali informasi yang sangat berguna untuk kita. Harapannya semoga semua ilmu yang kita dapat hari ini itu bisa kita manfaatkan dan menjadi panduan kita bersama untuk menerapkan pola makan yang sehat dimulai mengkonsumsi makanan bernutrisi.
Ya, betul sekali Mas Adi. Dan tentunya kita ucapkan terima kasih kepada Susan Bowerman dan panelis kita hari ini Bu Liliani yang sudah membagikan ilmunya kepada kita hari ini.
Oke, dengan demikian kami pamit undur diri dan sampai bertemu di event Herbalife Nutrition eWellness berikutnya. Tak lupa kami ucapkan Happy Anniversary Herbalife Nutrition Indonesia yang ke-23 terus bertumbuh dan masa depan milik kita.
Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Sampai jumpa.
You're simply